to Pulse Check, where we amplify voices in healthcare. Today we are focusing on a topic that shapes the future, and that is children's mental health. Mental health in kids is often overlooked and sometimes misunderstood, but early intervention can make all the difference. So what are some of the signs that parents and caregivers should watch out for? And how can we create an environment that nurtures resilience and emotional growth? So joining me is Jared Omache. He is a clinical psychologist and he's going to help us join the dots.
Karibu sana.
You are one person who is so hard to find. You're too busy. How is your schedule?
Tough.
First, let me allow you to introduce yourself better to our audience. Tell us more about yourself.
Thank you so much, Pauline. Thanks for having me here on this very important show. And thanks for putting up this, creating a platform for the practitioners to be able to give what we have to the general population so that we can be able to help them navigate this mental health world. So my name is Jared Omache. I'm a psychologist with a very keen interest in children because I am so passionate about working with children. I'm also trained in child protection and safeguarding, and also a professional mediator. You come to realize there is a way these things, there is a way they go around, they need each other. Like also when you're working with children, families, and livelihoods of people, you need to at some point mediate, you need some point to guide, you need some point to educate. And of course, we and other mental health practitioners to be able to diagnose and maybe team up in the treatment of these mental health disorders.
Sure. Well, and when you talk about kids' mental health, it's something that it's usually overlooked.
Yes.
Because growing up, we didn't have anything like that.
Yes.
No discipline. I don't know. For millennials, it was so hard.
Yes.
And probably it explains why we are having people with a lot of trauma, finding it so hard to navigate because of the challenges we went through growing up. So when it comes to mental health in kids, what are some of the challenges that you have encountered kids going through?
The greatest challenge that I hear, I encounter as a professional, but the parents have normalized, the caregivers, is about thinking that children, all what children need is clothing, food, shelter, and then you hear, nini nakusumbua, because I provided everything to you. So you come to realize that mental health challenges in children, it's not like adults. And of course, we are doing, it's like, I want you to focus on something, zoom into something we call preventive measures, even in healthcare, even in physical health. So nasemanga primary healthcare, then we go to secondary and all that. You see, if you cannot be able to address the issues, the mental health issues with your children, you are likely to have even a boom someday of physical health challenges in your household. Why? These things, most of the mental health challenges, and sometimes psychologists, psychiatrists, they'll tell you mental health issues or illnesses, they have some resilience in quotes. Like it is not something that starts now and shows up now. It can be there for years and years in hibernation and growing slowly. And sometimes when we track this, when you hear about one of the leading cause of mental health challenges, even older people are struggling with now, it started in childhood. So you see why childhood is very important. And sometimes, so if we don't educate, if we don't understand that children, that is where the conversation about mental health starts. I always say, if you find yourself in a problem and it is likely to continue, the first thing you do is you stop it from continuing, and then you start seeing where it is emerging from. Like now, if we are saying that this generation is suffering so much in mental health. So the best thing we can do is now we take care of what is now, then prevent, of course, it continuing. Then now go back to children, because now that is where we are tracing the problem, the most of the problem beginning. We go, and then if we can be able to start mental health conversation, taking care of mental health of these children from childhood, we are likely to have a very healthy generation, a very healthy teenagers, very sober and well-scoring mental health teenagers and adults.
Are there some key signs that you're able to detect in a child that shows you something is not right in this child?
Of course, yes. You'll be able to see. And let me say this, Pauline. There is a normal developmental spectrum of children. We call it a psychosocial stages of development, children. There is a way growth and development progresses from when the child is born to when somebody is an adult. So in children, some of the things you can be able to note that this child, there is issues with this child, is not really about not only looking at them. You will see a behavior change. You will see how this child is talking, how this child is handling themselves, or how this child is doing the things that that stage of development they are supposed to do. It is not adding up. And when those things don't add up, you are supposed to seek for help so that you can be able to understand what is going on with my child. Yes.
And let's talk about discipline.
Yes.
Growing up, discipline was a thing of the day. Like every day you had, and discipline was corporal punishment. Not like nowadays, you have a safe corner where the kid is going to sit for a certain amount of time.
Yes.
Ours used to be beating. Now, where do you cut between discipline and abuse?
Actually, there is a very big demarcation between discipline and punishment. And sometimes we think that discipline is about taking a cane, beating this child until this child goes back on track. Discipline is about you having conversation with this child. Is you about guiding this child. It's about you reasoning, giving them a platform to explain why they have done what they have done. And see, because these kids are learning, and they know how to learn very well from what they see the people around them, the natural environment, how it behaves and all that. So disciplining and punishment are two different things. Actually, discipline doesn't entail the violent acts of all that. Discipline is very gentle. It's like guiding. It's like, Pauline, you want to go to Thika Town? Yes. You don't know the way? Yes. You are lost? Yes. Bring your hand here. I hold you and I show you. You see, this is the way that goes to Thika Town. And if I'm gracious enough, if I know the benefits of just letting you find your way to Thika Town, I'll make sure that I hold your hand until I show you this is Thika Town now. Next time, you know the way to come here. You see? So it is a journey of walking with this child. That is what instilling discipline is not about beating. It's not about harassment. It's not about yelling. What we went through with our parents those days and our caregivers, it was harassment. It was a very severe punishment that is even traumatizing us even up to now. It was not discipline. Discipline is a very gentle way of guiding these children. How do they grow up? What are you feeling? You did this. Why did you do this? So that you get to understand the perspective of this child. And of course, you as a grown-up, you've known what is right and what is wrong. Guide them. That is discipline. So in discipline, we target on changing how our child feels about themselves, and how our child feels about the environment, and how our child feels about everything around what they have done, how they think about issues, and how they start resolving their issues, and how they make decisions. Yes.
And on child protection,
yes,
what does the law say about corporal punishment?
Corporal punishment, you remember, we have laws. For those people who don't know, in child protection and safeguarding, we have laws in the land that protects children from this kind of torture Actually, some of it is torture. Some corporal punishments, it's torture. Yes, there is punishment is there. Even the mental health practitioners will tell you we have various ways of punishing. You can have what we call either an example of like a positive reinforcement or a negative reinforcement, whereby you can deny a child something just to discipline them. Discipline, remember we said about punishing and disciplining. Discipline is you make them feel what they have done so that they learn the consequences, the effects it is bringing to them and the people around them. But now the law is very strict on the children's rights. Actually, the Child Health Act 2021, it has rights for children, and it is that this world, most of these children's rights are violated, and nobody is following up. And if these laws were to be followed keenly, a lot of us will be in trouble. Okay, it addresses children who have both parents. It addresses children who have maybe a single parent. It addresses orphans, vulnerable children. It takes care of cuts across all children in any situation, even from how you treat children in families, when you come to adoption, and even correctional facilities. So we have laws, and for sure, these laws, there is nowhere they give us a right to harass and to inflict pain to children that is going to cause them trauma and maybe violate their rights. It is guiding us, and remember, laws are there because there was a problem before the law was created. So they identified a problem, and the children had suffered so long. And if you ask millennials and back, they'll tell you we were used to be beaten so bad.
And I kind of equate it to gender-based violence, because this is somebody you're hitting them because they can't hit you back. I would equate it to that, because this child is not able to hit you back. So when you think of it, you feel like this is not punishment. This is more abuse.
Yes.
Than discipline.
And actually, what many people call as disciplining children, it is abusing children. And we have different types of abuse to children. It can be emotional, it can be physical, it can even children exploitation, including even sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse. All those are the forms of abuse. So sometimes, because a parent, you are so angry from work, you go, a child has maybe a glass fall and cracked, and then you are there with the blows and kicks beating the child. What you are doing, you are not disciplining the child. You are harassing and you are tormenting the child. Yeah.
And this, there is a day I went to school because my 4-year-old came and told me the teacher had hit me. And she would describe how the teacher did it. And she told me severally, and I had to go to school to find out what was happening. And the teacher told me, I just did like this. So I was like, you just know you did like that, but whether you teach her the whole day and hit her once, she will come home knowing you hit her, you taught her nothing.
Yes.
She forgot everything you taught her.
Yes.
And carried home that you hit her. And I felt it was so huge.
Yes.
Because you don't explain why a 4-year-old will go home saying that they were hit by somebody. The age of, I don't know, I don't want to go there, but it was sad.
It was sad.
It was sad. And I don't know, and I think that trauma goes with these children, even when they grow up. And I think, giving an example of the same, the elder, the elder one came by the time we were going to look for a school for this young one, and she saw her teacher, playgroup teacher, and asked her, "Let's go say hi." And she was like, "No, he's the one who hit me."
Oh.
And she hit her.
Yes.
I don't know how many years ago, about 4 years ago.
Yes.
But she refused to say hi to her.
And because you see, when you are beating children and they don't understand why you are beating them, they start growing resentment.
Yeah, they will, and they will hate you forever.
They will. Us, those days, we never had an option because things were happening. But if you ask many people here, they'll tell you, my dad was so bad. My mom was so bad. Could beat me. We'll make it as a joke, but it affected you anyway. You see? And now we are waking up to a generation that is starting to know things early
And
enough.
they know their rights.
They know their rights. Because now they are being told, no, you should be beaten this way. And they are picking that. And remember now, so the internet is here and they can be able to read. And when they hear what are the rights, because these kids are becoming so versatile in exploring, who am I as a child? What place do I have in a family? What are my rights in a family? Because there is a generation that has suffered for so long, and then we are having a generation transition that is coming to understand, like, do this to me, make me understand why you are doing this to me. And then that is why you see some of the kids are even standing against their parents and telling me, what have I done? Why are you doing this? Okay? I don't know if you have had a child who you tell them to do something that they don't agree, they don't understand, they stand firm and they told you, Mom, I don't know why I should do this.
Yeah. My daughter told me the other day, today is Saturday, it's my day off. I had just asked her to clean the dishes, and she was like,
do you know why?
It's my day off.
I want to take you back how your parents used to come with blows and, forcefully do this. Okay? And then we grew up with a lot of traumas, and then we are having a generation that wants to live different, but we want to parent them the same way we were parented. It is not going to work. And that is why I think if you are a millennial backwards, you are not in of course, now the Gen Zs, they are becoming parents. Some of them are parents already. And soon we'll be having the Gen Alphas living with us. People need to go back and learn about parenting these children. How do I parent a Gen Z? How do I parent a Gen Alpha? And what are the rights in this? Because we say charity begins at home. This child is not going to be protected out there if you are not protecting these children in their household, from home. Everything, charity begins at home.
What are some of the adjustments that we should do in our homes and at school as well to create an environment that is suitable for mental health wellness?
First, in school, we have a very critical role to play. Actually, now we have woken up to a time is like we have a crisis. The old age, they have their own issues, mental health issues that are at stake that needs to be addressed. These people, the adults, they also have their own. The young adults they have, and the children's, they are waking up to okay, mental health should even start at birth. Once a child is born, that is the moment you should integrate mental health. Like, you are very keen on developing this aspect of mental health in this child. How? You have asked a very good question. What is our place for mental health in these children? Let's start from the at home. Conducive environment. What do I mean? We can, like parents, you see, also we are having a lot of social issues that are bringing effects to children. Issues like family dynamics, like divorce, migration, relocating, family status, poverty, and the social status, and even the political temperatures. And so at home, that is where our mental health initiative should begin. Are we creating conducive environment at home? We as parents, even if we are having our own parents as a couple, are we bringing in children to be part of it, or we are separating the children? Let's deal with it. Is us who have issues. Can our children be aside? Let's deal with our issues. Because I'm sorry to give, like, when you see two parents separate and go apart, most children are taken as a weapon. Actually, it's not even acceptable in the constitution that we have, in the child protection and safeguarding protocols. you should safeguard these children. When you migrate, how do you prepare these children? When you relocate to new places, how do you psychologically prepare these children? What do you anticipate the challenges, the reset that they are having? Are you helping them to readjust and pick up again, to digest why are we migrating? What are the possible challenges we are going to encounter, and help them? Okay. And then when they come home, maybe they are seeing things they don't understand. Are you having enough time to explain to them? Because the brain of a child, when you ask the child specialist, the child psychiatrist, and the pediatrician, the doctors, they'll tell you that the brain develops. And when it develops, they want to know, they want to understand things as they move on. Are you creating enough time? And that is why we are called as parents. We are the primary caregivers. We instill values. We instill the values that these kids are going to grow up with, whether it is the issues of spirituality, whether it is their sexuality, where it is how they view themselves, and even giving them the identity. Okay? So are we playing our part? Are we giving enough time to be able to listen the needs that these children have in terms of their mental health, even as we take care of their physical needs? Are we taking care of their mental health needs? When we come to now the neighborhood and the extended families and all that, we know the children, long time ago, there is something they used to do, right? They used to say, mtoto ni wa the community. The child belongs to a community. And so somebody could play the role of a parent, because the child is learning from the nature environment. And if the child is maybe growing in a very, very violent environment, we are likely to raise very violent people in the future. If we grow up kids in an environment which is into alcoholism, the transference can be there, and we raise kids that are going to be alcoholics. Okay? Masters of alcohol. If we raise kids as pagans, we will have a generation that doesn't even know values, that doesn't even know God. Okay? So we have a place. And when we go to schools are very good, because you will realize when a child goes to school, most of the time they are spending in school. And by the time they are coming home, they are tired. Children, maybe parents are working. So it is over the weekend that they have time, and maybe over the holidays, to be able to interact more deeply. So in school, that is where now these teachers, we have guidance and counseling teachers. We have teachers trained on child development. They should identify. They should identify and ask for intervention when they see this child. The way this child is, there is something wrong. From the way this child is thinking, from the way this child is behaving, from the way this child, the way this child, how the actions, and even the performance in school, there is something wrong with this child. And then things like having now on site, because once a child starts to go to school, also these institutions have a place to integrate in the curricula, even if it is playgroup, to take care of their mental health, to make sure that these kids are healthy, they are not harmed either mentally, emotionally, they are not harmed even physically, and even their social well-being is not harmed. Okay? Like even the values that you teach children. And I love the fact that the schools in Kenya, we are doing the right thing. We are telling the children the right way to grow. We are not bringing in some ideologies which are going to be so disturbing to these children later. But what we are saying is, on-site integrating mental health programs, it is very key. Starting from when the child starts to ask the first questions, just know that is a human being who has started to develop. And now the families, the school, they are entitled to answer those questions and to guide this child. And then there is something very important, that in all institutions, not only at home, that we are supposed to create a supportive and a learning environment, but also in school. Supportive environment means when this child is asking something to understand, don't push them away. You are going to affect their self-esteem. They are going to coil, and they will learn that, they will normalize that I don't have to ask any question, even if something is pressing me. So what I'll do is, when they reach to a point that they see an avenue they can learn more so from social media and all that, that is where children go and learning some things that you cannot even explain where they picked from. And then we have the community. The community has a very vital role to play when it comes to child mental health. Let's talk about creating even recreational facilities. And for those people who are in the community policing, these recreational facilities are very key, because children by nature, they should play, they should interact, they should see nature out here, they should be able to connect with life, not just locking the children in the house, giving them phones and all that, go to your bedroom, eat and sleep. Let the children play outside. And that is why the community should be able to make sure that in a community there is a recreational facilities for these children to play. Even if it is possible, even in families, create a place that children can be able to play. It is good for their cognitive development. It is good even for their physical development. It is good even for their general health. And then having us as a community having the awareness that mental health starts from childhood to the end of time. I think from there now we can be able to start saying like we have grasped the concept of changing the narrative that has been about mental health.
Let's talk about loss.
Oh, wow.
For the children who have lost their parents, they have lost their siblings or some relative they had known so well. So, when you're working with them, number one, at what age are they able to process the loss?
Wow, that is a very good question. And actually, the practitioner seated here talking, I'm one of those child who grieved the loss when I'm an adult, because I didn't have a platform to guide me on how to process the loss that had gone of losing parents at a very tender age. It's okay now. Thank you. Now, loss, it's a very critical thing to children. And the children not only lose parents, physical figures that they identify with, they lose homes when parents move to a different new place that they have never identified with. They lose their voice in speaking in the house, because now when mtoto nyamaza, what are you talking? You see, loss and grief is very critical to children. And this thing can turn the child around, and this child will grow to be a child so different from the child who was born, and it can affect them up to old age. It is not easy to identify loss in children, more so when we call it a layman, like somebody who has not specialized in children affairs. It takes a keen eye to be able to identify the loss of a child, and the child can feel the loss from as early as when they can be able to identify caregivers. You have heard of children who has a very good domestic manager, a very good nanny. That day that nanny packs and goes, that child never eats, that child never sleeps, that child wakes up tonight and starts yelling and screaming and wants the nanny. Why? They feel the loss. And those things, if your child is, you see there are those things, a baby is born and starts to know that our house, when you go this way, this is the bedroom. When you go, this is downstairs. Okay? Every evening, mama and dad, they have to come home. And so when that day they wake up and those things are not happening, they'll feel like something is missing. And then you will see a behavior change in a way. One way you can be able to pick that the child might be going through a loss. Of course, have there been changes in the environment that these kids are used to? And if there are major changes that have happened, automatically you should be able to be keen on supporting this child on the journey of loss, of grieving. And the children don't know on how they can explain their loss. They can coil, they can regress back to some behaviors they had outgrown before. they'll start, maybe the child was not bedwetting, and you find that they have started bedwetting, and this child is now having difficulties in eating, or this child is talking too slow, too low, or talking too much. Okay, those extremes. Or this child is becoming so clingy, like a parent is going to work and they don't want the parent to go. They are feeling there is something amiss. They are not comfortable, but they don't know what it is. They are children. They have not known that when these things happen, how to take care of it. You will see how changes happen this child. Throwing tantrums. I've had a question about parents asking about tantrums, and is it can my child be having a problem with tantrums? You know, tantrums, it is a normal developmental stage. If it is short term, if a child throws tantrums now and then it doesn't happen again for the next like 1 month, there is no really a big issue. But when it is persistent for some days, again and again and again, it should inform you that something is wrong with this child. You will be able to see your child struggling. You'll be able to see your child, even when you are watching, they are coiling themselves. They are not vibrant as you. Children are playful naturally. Naturally, they are playful. Now, when you find a child seated like a grown-up for the whole day in the house and not talking, sleeping too much or not sleeping at night, you should be able to know as a parent, like, something is wrong with my child. And because you don't know, there are specialists. We have children psychologists, we have psychiatrists, we have pediatricians, we have counselors who can be able at least to work with you and connect you with the best person to be able to take care of your child's needs. So loss and grief is very critical. And the challenge, even as we have talked about this, the challenge I'm going to give you, parents, is see on the major adjustments you did as a family, and somehow your children started behaving differently, thinking differently, speaking some funny phrases that you don't know where they're coming from, and you thought it was funny. Can you do that audit and see, okay, and if you cannot be able to identify, maybe this child was affected, because loss and grief, it can go and subside because they are coping mechanism, and then it will push to the subconscious mind, and that becomes a trauma. It can surface later in form of a very complicated grief with a trigger and very complicated. That is why you hear somebody. Let me share this. I dealt with a child who lost the parent, and this parent was buried. In fact, they chased the child away not to view the body of the parent. Of course, that parent was taken care of with another guardian, and then grew up. And that thing, he told me he hated these guardians so much and the family so much, because now by the time he was come, he had disappeared from home. He had disappeared from one and said, I don't want to go back to that home, because they didn't even help that child have a closure.
How do you do it?
There are various ways on how you can do it. You can do it through a professional, and also these major losses, like when maybe a child is orphaned, and maybe loses a parent or loses a sibling. You can choose to do it through a professional. A counselor will do it. They are trained on how to do it. The doctors can be able to guide you. And but one thing I know is, don't chase them away. Don't help them to understand what is happening. Remember, we struggle so much on the things we never understood. The worry that we had, but it was never addressed. That is what disturbs people.
Take us through day one. The loss has happened today. Start from disclosure.
Okay.
Onwards.
Maybe we can single out the type of loss.
Let's talk about a child who has lost a parent.
Okay.
Or a sibling.
Okay.
How do you go about it?
Okay, that is very critical. A child who has lost a parent or a sibling or a very close figure, a person, a caregiver, somebody they had identified with, can be a grandmother, can be a grandfather. Those people who meant something to this child. First of all, if a child is like 1 year, 2 years, of course they are not going to comprehend as such. But you could, when they start asking questions at age 5, they are asking questions. Something can be done, and of course, you need to support them. They might not be able to grasp the concept of death fully, but you can. There is something you can be able to do to relieve of the distress they are feeling, so that they don't become so anxious and maybe stressed. And from 3 years, the child, they have started going through all these things. They have emotions. Okay, they have emotions. They feel when you abuse them. They feel when they see somebody is not responding to me. My parents are died, and even if I try to call her or him, not responding to me, and I see people crying, it terrifies them. Okay, first thing is assurance. Be mindful of their safety. Children, they understand by hearing, and by hearing, because kids are different. Kids are different. They are those ones, if you tell them you are safe here with me, it brings them down. So you find that they are holding you because they feel, yes, they are safe. Okay? Then talking to them, and assurance to kids can be as simple as letting them tell you, what are you feeling? They'll tell you, I feel fear. Mom is not talking to me. If it is the mom who has died, if it is the dad who has died, I'm calling him, he is not responding to me. You tell them, I'm now here. If you are the auntie, you are now here safe with auntie. Dad is not going to hear you now, but auntie is going to listen to you now. Tell me, what do you want to tell dad? Now, let them project that to you. Let them ask you those questions. I feel hungry. I need us to go home. You want to go home? Auntie is going to take you home. And of course, you are not going to you are doing, it's like a psychological first aid for that child, just to be able to survive that environment. And that is the biggest mistake that we make, because at that point, when the child wants to look at the parent who is dead there, we chase them away, we are closing their eyes. So a big question mark is left in them. And sometimes I know one thing that you want to rush to connect with is telling them how the higher being, God, knows it all. A 5-year-old is not going to understand how God knows it all. Some of them, we have seen them reacting so badly. Why could God kill my father? And you see, you might be having the child might be having a second trauma, thinking that there is a God who kills people. Okay? If it was sickness, just tell the children, okay, dad was sick. They are not going to hear you now, but auntie is here. Give them assurance. And of course, these kids, you are not going, because loss and grief, it is a journey. It is something you walk with. At that point, in that denial state, like, my father can't listen to me. I've been calling my mother when we are at home. They always listen to me, but now they cannot respond to me. You have now to turn it to you, the caregiver who is there alive, to be able, let this child project to you and give them audience. Let them talk. Let them feel. At some point, if you don't know how to do it, you don't have to say anything. You just need to be there. And you need to be there and listen, and at least not give them some gestures so that they feel like you are there presently. Feed them and give them a platform, and assure them as even as you seek professional help to help you take care of those children through that time.
At what age? I think I'm so passionate about that whole topic.
Yeah.
Is there a certain age that you can say this child is going to process this all?
Yes.
Which is what?
When they start going to school. The school aging.
Going,
yes.
Child is able to understand.
You know why? They are going to be triggered in school. Because they'll hear, dad bought me this. You see how kids come to school and see, dad brought me this, mom brought me this, but this child will just now go back, start zooming. So where is my dad? So dad died, what is that? So at that time, they are so determined to know when people, the way they saw them sleeping and not breathing and not coming back, where do they go to? You start a conversation there.
So counseling will start from the first day.
From the first day. Like now we work in a hospital, we have worked with you, and we work, those ones who are medics, when maybe these children, we always ask that if these children are near, let them be brought. We help the family, at least give them a first aid at that moment, and then we guide them on how they'll be handling them at home. The last concept you can bring in is about telling them how God is very just. The first thing, assure them. Because if you start with, God has taken your father, so God knows it all. They might even, at some point, they will erupt because this God, because, they will be seeing you praying in the house, they coil. And they relate, this God killed my mother. This God killed my father. They are very fragile minds. They have not, that is why you see, even when they are doing the church altar call, children's, until they are a point they can make conscious decisions to accept salvation, because a child cannot really comprehend the concept of God fully. But there is a platform, we start teaching them slowly how God is good, how God who created heaven and earth, evil. But when it comes, disaster strikes, you be slow on relating with God and be very fast in giving them a supportive environment to survive the unfortunate things that have happened.
What are some of the challenges that you face during your work?
A lot. My work in general, I'm working with
When you're dealing with children.
When I'm dealing with children. First thing, you need to learn on how to be flexible. Flexibility is key when you're working with children. And children, they are intertwined with family. When you're working with children, there is a high possibility you're also working with parents or the caregivers of those children, or the teachers of those children, or even the homes, the institutions that house those children. Now, flexibility, you can distress calls. You can be given a distress call anytime. Okay, you have to spend a lot of time listening to this child. Children need patience. It's not like you, Pauline. I can tell you, Pauline, I have a next meeting to catch up with. Children don't know that. They will feel like you are pushing them away. Children, you can go, when I'm working with children, I can dress in my suit, going, and they want us to play in the dust. And you need to be very flexible. And you need to be somebody they can relate with. Okay? They can relate with. And you need to be somebody open enough, because every question a child asks, there is no way you can dodge them around. And of course, if also you need to understand issues about children. You cannot gamble, you cannot guess when it comes with children, because they are very fragile. And if they lose trust with you, you will not even find anything. And of course, my work also, if you are not keen, we suffer burnouts a lot. I know we tell people now to take care of themselves. We are one people who sometimes we come to realize when you are battling a very serious burnout, and you come to realize, oh, it is too much for me, and I have not even taken care of myself, because it takes a lot. It takes a lot of studies. It takes a lot of research. It takes a lot of background checks. It takes a lot of patience, listening, physical activities, and all that.
I think we have covered quite a lot. I don't know whether you have a closing remark.
Yes, I have a closing remark. Mental health is health. And mental health, if you thought that mental health is something you will come to deal with on a later stage, you are wrong. Mental health starts from childbirth. And parents who are longing to be parents are parents who are planning to have babies. The moment that baby lands, you should be able to know that parenting, mental health, and parenting, they just go hand in hand. It is the foundation. It is the foundation. And so, if you really want to have good families in the future, and of course, right now we are running left, right, center, up, down, trying to solve the mess that has happened through generations. And we are really doing it. And I know there are professionals. I want to appreciate all the mental health practitioners, all the healthcare practitioners for being in the forefront to fight this menace of mental health issues. Mental health is here, and we cannot bury our heads in the sand to say that it is not affecting us. And as we take care of what is affecting us currently, let's go back to the children, because that is the only way we can be able to reverse the trend. I said, if you find yourself in a problem now, make sure that you stop it from reoccurring, then go back, then clear the mess. Okay? Tunasemanga udongo upatilie ungali mbichi. Like you can only bend a tree when it's still young, so that you can focus it to the direction you want it to grow to. And some of these things we are battling now, they are things which could have been taken care of in our childhood. The issues you see with couples, the issues we see at workplaces, the issues we see with our the personality disorders, the mental health issues that are really causing a mayhem in our lives. These are the things. Most of them could have been taken care of in our childhood, so that we bring up a generation that is going to be self-driven and intentional about their health. The way we have normalized the physical health, that is how we should normalize how to take care of our mental health. Because health without mental health is not health. Don't even talk about health if you're not talking about mental health. We are in the internet age.
Sure. The role of social media. That is very true.
Social media, we are so much in social media, but these kids are accessing other sites. Okay? They're accessing other sites, and now they are picking anything they find. And because we are not intentional, or now we are bringing them up, this generation is going to be out there in the internet to start understanding the things that are affecting them. And guess what they are going to bump into? Good things and bad stuff. And then they will be in a crisis on which way. And so one who chooses to just pick and consume the good stuff, they are safe. Those ones who get to the other sites and consume the bad stuff, we are going to come back also to sort a crisis that we could have taken care of when the child is still young. My social media handles is Jared Omache, Psychologist, across on TikTok, on Facebook, on IG, Jared Omache, Psychologist. And of course, those who want to contact me can contact me. When you go to my social media pages, I'm sure you will find a contact there, and you'll be able to contact me.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
For all that information you have given us. So to our viewers, we have come to the end of our discussion, and that's a lot that we have learned here. We take good care of our kids' mental health so that we can have a healthy future. Continue subscribing, like, share. Let us know what you want us to teach you. We have a lot lined up for you. So until next time, my name is Pauline Guna. See you then.